welcome to my weekly Warhammer Conquest review. This week I'm going to be reviewing issue 48. Nice. We've got some pretty cool stuff in this issue. We've got two Space Marine bikers, which are nifty. Let's get a look at the plastic pack. This is an old but basically classic build. It's fairly simple. You've got two of the same sprue, good amount of detail. It's not the amazing detail we've been seeing in the newer models. Then again, that's what happens when you get an older model. Newer models are better, otherwise why would you keep making them? This one, 2002 copyright. So with 2019, that makes it 17 years old. So I think they've stood the test of time well. I think that there's a reasonably solid amount of detail in them. As bikes go, they're very big. If you don't know why, then there's a film called Judge Dredd with Sylvester Stallone. Have a look at the aesthetics on that. The film's all right. It's not very Judge Dreddy. The Carl Urban film is better, but the bikes on there are much more like wheel bikes. If you get a chance to look at the magazine called 2000 AD with the character Judge Dredd in, you can see that being a very heavy influence on GW, particularly its founder members in the 80s, a lot of that rolled on in their models, pretty much even up until today. If you check the new Underworld, the new Hive Enforcers coming up from Necromunda, they've got a bit of a Judge Dreddy feel to them. These bikes have very wide wheels because the Judge Dredd Lawmaker, which was the bike he rode, had very wide wheels. They're pretty nifty. They're a single build model. There's no options for these. Some of the models used to have a single plasma gun option over the twin link bolter option, but these just have the twin link bolter. As you can see, it's one of the shorter style bolters, but then again, like I say, 17-year-old model, that's what you get. They still have their place on the battlefield. They're still a quite nifty model. We can see there's some artwork with them. We can see they look good. We can also see they're not Primaris, but I'm pretty sure that the fact I said 17-year-old model 3 times so far in this video, you know they're not going to be Primaris. Which is one of the reasons why I'm not going to be keeping these. I'm probably going to give them away on my Twitter page or my Instagram page feed. I do a lot of social media, mostly for some sad need to be validated by other people. Love me, please love me. Anyway, sorry. Into the book. Again, signed by Ian, our spiritual leech. We've got a nice breakdown of what's in there. Dropping things. And as we can expect to start with, straight into the bikes. It gives you a speed rating, an armor rating, and a firepower rating. To my mind, the armor and the firepower rating on that are high, but I haven't actually looked at the stats of Space Marine bikes yet because I never intended to include any in my army. I can tell you from experience from all the other systems, and they're probably going to play the same in this system, that they're not going to be very tough in a pair of 2. You probably want 3 to 5 in a unit just for survivability. It gives a nice description here. Space Marine bikers use the incredible speed of their vehicles to make surprise attacks, punching holes in enemy formations. By the time the foe has heard the grounding approach of a unit of Space Marine bikers, the damage has already been done. They're pretty nifty. They're always good for outflanking, or again, they're another great fast support unit if you need, if you want to play a tactical game, which Space Marines often do. Sorry, a bit warm and humid here. They're actually a fairly good unit to have. You might not necessarily want to core your army around them, except if you're a Dark Angel player using Ravenwing. But they certainly, them and other fast-moving units like them certainly have their place in and on the battlefield. I always used to use them either as a skirmish line in front of my tanks because they're fast-moving, the same as vehicles. In the old editions, they provide cover. In the new editions, you have to shoot at the closest models, so you wouldn't be able to shoot at other models necessarily behind them. So that all helps, and they ride forward and can give you some protection. The other method to use them is to hide them behind something and then have them whiz out and hammer something before going back into cover. Again, you want to optimize cover with bikes because they're not, you don't get that many of them for your points cost. You don't get too much bang to the buck, but what you do get is speed and maneuverability. So if you've got a unit, as I probably said with this speeder, if you've got a unit that is a little bit short of being able to take on the unit, being able to take on its opposition, you can zoom the bikes over, throw their firepower into the mix to allow it to take on or wipe out the unit, then zoom the bikes over to the next guy, throw their firepower into the mix there. It allows you a highly mobile unit that can respond rapidly to threats as they progress across the board. We've got a description of Space Marine bike squads in general here, and then we've got the White Scars. White Scar Battle Brothers come from a horse riding tribes of their home world, Trigoris. Every battle brother maintains their mounted combat training, even those who have passed into the first company or to the highest echelons of the chapter leadership. White Scars proudly employ bike squads as the main body of their strike force. The Dark Angels, we've got the Dark Angels second company, are known as the Raven Wing, which I just mentioned. They're the only Dark Angels that paint themselves completely black. Death Company, which is the first company, or Death Wing, rather, which is the first company, is a bone white. Raven Wing, which is the second company, is jet black. And all the others are a deep green. If you're wondering what Dark Angels used to look like before they were Space Marines, by the way, check out the Osiris Club in the new Hellboy movie. The movie itself is a bit of a mess, but it's got a lot of fantastic individual scenes. But you've got these guys on horses wearing green hoods and with power armor. Somebody in the Hellboy somebody in the Hellboy writers studio or circle, whatever they are, is a massive Dark Angels fan, because they've literally just made Dark Angels for the big screen. And then they killed them all. Maybe they're not a fan. But anyway, yeah, here we are. The majority of the warriors fighting in the Raven Wing ranks go to war mounted on Space Marine bikes. They launch perfectly drilled attacks, encircling, outflanking, and breaking the enemy. Overhead, their jet fighters and land speeders unload their impressive firepower. The thing about the Raven Wing is the entire battle force moves. It allows them to execute something called a refused flank, or something called an alpha strike, where you literally go, okay, here is a point of a bunch of the enemy that I can annihilate. I'm going to go over there, isolate them, annihilate them. Then I'm going to go over here, isolate this part of the army, annihilate the army, and then I'm going to go into the middle. It's a great tactic on a large board. On smaller boards, it's more difficult. The more filled your board is, the harder it is for the Raven Wing to really do that. Simply because what they need to be able to do is pick off bits of your army piecemeal rather than face the whole thing at once. If they do, their manoeuvrability is not quite as good, and they can just be outmaneuvered and outflanked. Well, they can just be outflanked and outgunned. Their key is their manoeuvrability. As a battle tactic, it works amazingly on the tabletop. I've seen some guys use it brilliantly. I've seen other guys fall apart. I've had it used against me using Space Walls. Unfortunately, it didn't work, mostly because I concentrated my guys into one point, and he went, well, I'm going to concentrate my guys into one point, and then I just had more guys than him. Yeah, he said, I'm going to try and outmaneuver, and that didn't work. Particularly because he tried to charge a bunch of dreadnoughts with guys that didn't have anything to take out dreadnoughts, and I just sat there and went, well, I'm going to engage you in combat. And this was 7th ed, so the Dark Angel's special ability of not being, the Dark Angel has special ability which meant they couldn't run away, which meant that 2 squads of bikes, 2 big squads of bikes, like 5-man squads with weapons, got locked up with dreadnoughts. It got locked up with one blooming dreadnought, because I did it cleverly, and because he'd taken a heavy bolter, it didn't really do enough damage on both squads, and I was able to wipe out 2 entire squads of bikes just by slowly munching my way through them. He tried it with Terminators the next time, which I thought was a better idea. Unfortunately, he put his power fists at the front and got them killed, and was stuck with power swords. Which, if you played them, they're power swords versus dreadnoughts. Again, they couldn't run away, which I thought was a terrible ability. In 7th ed, the Space Wolves could countercharge you and basically get an extra attack. Dark Angels just had to be eaten. It was like watching those movies where a guy gets tied up to a logging machine, and you've got that saw that's just going to cut through him. It's terrible. But there are a lot of advantages to it, and not everybody plays, not everybody has my luck or his bad luck. Space Wolves, my favourite. Space Wolves recruits do not begin their service in a scout company. Instead of deployed as close support, or their untamed ferocity and eagerness for battle can be exploited. They are trained in the use of Space Marine bikes and can be deployed as part of Swift Claw Biker Pack. Swift Claws are usually used in a demolition or close assault role. Yeah, that was always a bit weird for those guys. I don't know how it works in the new ed because, again, I've gone for Primaris. In the old ed, it was actually quite good. You got 3 attacks on... No, sorry, yeah. You got 4 attacks on the charge and you were toughness 5, which isn't terrible. You did lose the numbers, but you did get Twin Leap Bolters, which could shoot in as well. So there's a lot of cool stuff there. Bikers do have their place. I'm not going to be using them, but, you know, do try them out yourselves. They can be really good in the right place. Next, we've got Forces of Chaos. Here we've got some lovely pictures of all 4 Chaos Gods, or rather representing all 4 Chaos Gods. No, we don't. Sorry, tell a lie. I've got 4 pictures, but they're not Chaos Gods. You've got Renegade Heretics, bring death and destruction to the Imperium they betrayed. So you've got the Chaos Marines there. You've got, even the Noble Imperial Knights can be corrupted. Obviously, they just brought out the Chaos Knights, so they're fairly cool. You've got demons being represented there by a Nurgle demon. And the demon Primarchs, like Mortarion and Magnus, the red lead their traitor Space Marine Legion, so that's pretty cool as well. Yeah, Magnus there with his giant nipple horns. I'm not sure what they're about. I'm sure they're reference to some historic thing, but it just looks weird to me. So it's just going through. We've got a nice explanation of what Chaos is, how it's actually unknown by most of the Imperium's citizens, or at least that's what the Imperium would like to think. We've got some stuff here explaining the Dark Imperium and what's gone on there. As a chain reaction of the Great Rift cracked, as the chain reaction of the Great Rift cracked open the galaxy, tidal waves or natural energy spilled outwards in random patterns. Warp storms swept across everything. Not even the furthest reach of the galaxy was spared. And then you've got more cool stuff, more cool background. Yeah, loads of cool stuff. And basically what happened, a nice brief bit about what happened in the Dark Imperium box set and in that time, including, yeah, the breaking of the Cadian Gates, the Hour of the Damned, the Light of the Darkness, which is going to be Rabute returning, and a brief bit on the Indominus Crusade, which I look forward to reading properly later. You've got Deadly Pursuit, which is another cool thing about bikes. Here you can see the Chaos Space Marine bikers, they're cool as well. You've got some Cornate ones, so hand-to-hand bikers there. And here we can see this looks a bit narrower than a lot of the models give off the impression. Here we can see the bikes moving along those big thick wheels. Yep, all-terrain bikes, and that's pretty cool. That looks like it's Khorne versus White Scars, which should be a fairly nifty battle. Here we've got the building instructions for the bikes, so that's pretty cool. The yeah, glue and clipper safety, don't forget that. They're a fairly basic model, and whilst these aren't easy to build miniatures, they do only go together one way, so they are actually very easy to build. So that should not be a problem for anybody, really. There's often been division on how to, an argument on how to build them. A lot of people I've seen try and build the Marine and then put him on the bike. I tend to find that putting him on the bike works first. The main thing is to make sure that he's positioned in such a way as his arms reach over there. You can sometimes find that the Marines lean a bit back and you've got the arms a bit forward. So my advice would be to build the bike and then dry fit the Marine on the bike first. Make sure he goes where you want him to go. Make sure his arms are going to fit where you want him to fit. Maybe use a bit of blue tack. These are older models, and the newer models are better for a reason. The newer models go together better. Space Marine bikers, I have seen some of the Space Marine biker models that seem to go together a little less easily. And a lot of that is because, yeah, that is down to where you position the torso on the legs. If you get the legs in the right position, blue tack the torso on, blue tack the arms on, make sure that's in the right position, and then you glue the arms on and then glue the torso on. A lot of people do tend to glue the arms on, glue the arms on the torso, on the thing first, because that way if the torso's sitting there, on the thing, and you glue the arms on, the torso is going to be able to reach. Whereas if you glue the torso on the legs and then glue the arms on, you might find you've positioned it a little bit too far back, and it is a reasonably precise fit on those handles. I built some when I was very young and they didn't turn out that well. So that's just the benefit of my experience building bikers, yeah. Dry fit, use a bit of blue tack, make sure they fit together the way you want them to before actually gluing. Yep, you've got lots of bits and pieces there. You've got the weird little aerial there. I never put that on because that always broke off. It's a spindly bit of plastic. It looks cool. I never understood what the point of it was. Yeah, it's like a radio antenna, but at the same time they've got a radio antenna on their head. I tend to avoid that bit just because it's fairly thin plastic and I found it just breaks a lot. But it's up to you. You can do what you like with their model. The model, they are your models. We've got some beautiful painting instructions there. And you can see pretty much straight away that they look fairly... it is an aerial. Yeah, it even says aerial there. I don't know why he's got two aerials. We can see straight away that it's that even with a simple paint job, these guys are going to look pretty hench on your battlefield. They're very nice. Now, something interesting. Another new rule set. Stratagems. This is something that you can buy with command points, and command points are something that your leaders bring to the battle. The leaders are always pretty impressive. GW very much likes its characters to do things and to have reasons to be on the battlefield. The way they affect the other guys on the battlefield is always pretty cool. This would just make them even better. It'll mean, it makes them even more potent because they bring the command points. And it gives you another reason to bring leaders. It makes them better value for their for the points cost. Command, you've got 3 stratagems they're giving you here. Command reroll. For 1 command point, you can reroll any single dice. That can be very, very useful in the right term and the right point. Counter offensive. This stratagem is used right after an enemy unit that has charged, has fought. Select one of your own eligible. I'll try that again. Select one of your own eligible units and fight with it next. I thought it went in turns anyway. That has confused me there. This stratagem is right after an enemy unit that has charged, has fought. Select one of your own eligible units and fight with it next. Maybe it gives you another... Oh no, it must give you another one because you pick a unit to fight, they pick a unit to fight. Yeah, it must give you another one then. So you get to attack. So they still get to attack first, but you get to attack a bit extra afterwards. That's worth 2 command points. Insane bravery. You can automatically pass a single morale test. This stratagem must be used before taking the test. You have to guess. You cannot say, "Oh, I failed. I'm going to undo that failure," which is cool. Again, that's 2 command points, but again, it will save you models and perhaps keep that necessary unit on the battlefield rather than having it run and die. Here they've got examples of how the command rerolls work. So here's some more stuff to go in your budding little rulebook. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, have a game, try them out. Have a couple of games, try them all out. They're all pretty cool, and that's pretty nifty and pretty sweet. Yeah. The number of command points you get is designated by the mission, so it tells you there. Here it's got a couple of examples of what you can do with them and how they work, so that you know how they work. So that's a fantastic addition to your rulebook. We've got Hellish Highway here. Space Marines have launched their breakout. So obviously here you've got another mission specifically aimed at the bike here. That's pretty cool. Oh, nifty. Yeah. The bridge must be somewhere in the magazine. I'm assuming it's out the back. Yes, it is. So you've got another piece of terrain to go there, and you're using both your battle zones separated by a bit of space in the bridge. So you've got that bottleneck there, so that should be cool. Yep, so that's pretty nifty. Death Guard, 3 command points, 2 units of 5 Plague Marines, 12 Poxwalkers and a Foul Blightspawn. Space Marine, 3 command points, 2 Space Marine Bikers, a Land Speeder and a Redemptor Dreadnought. So the Redemptor's not that fast moving, but he can constantly move. He's able to move and fire all his weapons at once, so that's not going to have to, you're not going to have to slow down for any of that. The Space Marine Bikes and the Land Speeder are going to be lightning fast. I kind of feel on this one the trick is going to be keeping the Dreadnought in the right place at the right time and not just leaving him behind. Here we got the stats of the bike, and that's pretty cool. I'll just go through this. It has the stats here for an attack bike. You don't have an attack bike in this, but if you look at the pictures all around the internet of what's coming along in Conquest later, there will be an attack bike. An attack bike is basically a Space Marine bike with an additional sidecar attached to it, and that sidecar has a heavy weapon on it. It tends to either be a bolter or a melter, a multi-melter. Here we go. So your stats are movement 14, which is nice and fast. Weapon skill 3, ballistic skill 3. If you're playing Space Wolves, you'll probably find that your weapon skill is actually, I'd have to check. You'll find that your units are much more equivalent to Blood Claws rather than Space Marine, rather than your standard Space Marines. The unit contain, again, there's things I haven't looked at because I'm not playing standard Space Marine, so I don't know the rules. I've not played, the old rules used to be with a weapon skill 3 space, it was a weapon skill 4 Space Marine and a weapon skill 3 Blood Claw. Weapon skill now is 3+. I'd imagine that the weapon skill will be 4+ for a Blood Claw, but the ballistic skill will be 4+ for a Blood Claw because they're more about combat. Weapon skill will probably be 3+ and 4+. The ballistic skill will be 4+ because they're meant to get in there and shoot. But you'll have to check your Space Wolf code if you're a Space Wolf player to see that. Strength 4, which is fantastic. Toughness 5. Bikers tend to give you an additional toughness. If you're playing a classic Space Marine Wolf Lord, that's a great way of getting toughness. With Primaris, we use Gravis Armor. You've got 2 wounds, so each one is a 2-wound model. So that's 4 wounds in the group, which gives them a little better survivability. But a 4-wound unit is still a very small unit. The Space Marine Biker has 1 attack. The Biker Sergeant has 2 attacks. And the Attack Biker also has 2 attacks. Leadership 8 for the bike, 9 for the Sergeant and 8 for the Attack Bike. All of them having a 3+ save. So toughness 3, 3+ save. They're a reasonably tough little unit. The only downside at the moment with 2 bikers is they are a little unit. And that does affect their survivability. You sometimes have to think of units as one big blob of a model that has X number of hit points. A single model with 10 hit points is going to last longer than 4 models with 1 hit point each. So, in most circumstances. Here we have the stats. We have this unit contains 1 biker and 1 sergeant. So you can paint that up appropriately, and it can include up to 1 additional Space Marine biker. You can also include a single attack bike. So that's 3 bikes and 1 attack bike. That's still not a very big unit. You used to be able to get 4 bikes and an attack bike, allowing units to be bigger, which is nice. And then if you were playing old styles, you'd add another character into the unit, giving you a reasonably chunky unit, and a character with something like runic armor or artificer armor that could take a lot of the hits for you if you need it. It does upping the total wound count. That's a fairly light unit, and with the new rules on characters, if the character's not part of the unit, it's not going to sort of, you can't throw some wounds its way or stuff like that. Should still be good though, so you'll still have some cool stuff going on there, and they're still very fast. The Space Marine bikers and the biker sergeant are each armed with a bolt pistol, frag grenade, crack grenades. Each of their Space Marine bikes is equipped with a twin bolter. So you've got the option of using a bolt pistol. You've got your twin link bolt gun, which is obviously a rapid fire weapon, but it can re-roll those rapid fire shots, so that's pretty cool. The Space Marine attack bike is equipped with twin bolt guns, a heavy bolter, and is crewed by 2 Space Marines armed with a bolt pistol. Worth noting, the attack bike has 4 wounds, so that's 2, 4, 6, 10. So the entire unit would in total have 10 wounds. It's quite fast, and it's toughness 5, so it's got moderate survivability there. Not the biggest unit, not the most wounds, and with a lot of things out there doing multiple wounds, you can see that its effectiveness can be taken out fairly rapidly if you're not careful. It's usually a good idea to have the bikers supporting, so hopefully they're not the most desirable target on the board. But if they annoy your enemy more than once, which if you're using one, they will, your enemy is eventually going to have to deal with them. Here we go. The space, weapons, a bolt pistol for 12-inch range. Heavy bolt has a bolt pistol, 12-inch range, pistol 1, strength 4, 0 AP, damage 1. Heavy bolter, 36-inch range, heavy 3, strength 5, AP minus 1, so that's pretty cool. The multi-melter, which you can replace the heavy bolter with, again, strength 24, that'd be amazing. Range 24, heavy 1, but you've got the strength 8, and you roll 2 dice when in half range. So again, at a 12-inch range, you're doing a lot of damage because you can, when inflicting damage, because you can reroll the better dice, and you've got d6 damage there and minus 4 AP, so you really can do some heavy damage there. The twin bolt gun is rapid fire 2. You've got frag grenades and crack grenades, which are 6-inch range, which are good. Yeah, rapid fire 2 and strength 4. The twin link rule, where are we? Where's the twin wall? Oh no, it's rapid fire 2, so this isn't the old twin link rule, this is twin bolt gun. So instead of having rapid fire with an additional thing, you get extra shots. That's not too bad. And they should know, you'd think I know that. And I haven't used any twin things yet. And they should know no fear, which we know. Codex Discipline, models can shoot in a turn in which they fall back. That's cool. Turbo Boost, when this unit advances, add 6 to its move characteristic for the movement phase instead of rolling a dice. So that gives you a reliable 20-inch movement. So that's pretty cool as well. They don't have the rules they used to have. Again, I haven't looked at Space Marine bikes. This is actually my first look at Space Marine bikes. They used to have, because they were a vehicle, they used to be able to fire without, whilst advancing. So the rules for bolters were pretty cool. You didn't have any effects on advancing, but I don't think you have any effects on advancing now anyway, bolters do, but you could still assault and fire at the same time. Maybe the rules are in the biker rules. I literally haven't read the biker rules. I don't use them, so I haven't read them. So check out the biker rules. I'm not an expert on these in 8th, so please do look it up for yourself, see what they do. Feel free to tell me, can they fire and assault? I would like to know. And I'm too lazy to look it up. Sorry. That page is blank, so that'll fit back in your budding codex. And here is your new bridge, which is fairly solid. Again, with this, I consider... Oh, jeez. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I consider giving this a plastic coating. The battle mats we've got are quite thick cardboard, so they're reasonably survivable. Although, if you can afford to laminate them, by all means, lamination makes things last forever. If you can afford to laminate this, or you can just get a roll-out plastic coating from your local hardware or stationers, it will allow this to last a hell of a lot longer. You can see there's already some dog earring on it just from me handling it and it being delivered. So protecting that cool bit of scenery is nifty. They're giving you a lot of awesome scenery in this, a lot of cool things that you can lay out and you can make work. It's worth protecting them just because it's free. Well, it's not free, but it's exceptionally cheap and it's going to make it very much worthwhile. In terms of cost of the bikers, I haven't looked that up properly because I'm a fool. But the 5-man biker squads used to be, so the 3-man biker squads rather, which they came in, I think are about 20 quid. So for a 2-man biker squad, if we remove a third of 20, which is £6.60, you're still looking at £13-ish for 2 bikers, possibly more. You used to be able to get a single biker for a £5. If that's still the case, then you're still looking at £10 for the model. So not one of the best value for money ones, but still you're getting more than you're paying for, which is pretty much the theme of all this. I'm going to pause that. I'm actually going to look up the prices because you guys deserve better than I guess. Okay, I wasn't far off, guys. Hey, I'm back. You can see that on GW's website Oh, you can't because I didn't give it a chance to glow, but you're looking at 22.50. So I guess 13, a third of £2 is about £1.30, so about £14-15. So not bad. £7.99 for about twice as that value in bikers. Still a saving, still very worthwhile. We've had some amazing savings in this magazine so far, and this one still comes in at a fair saving. Next week we've got 3 paints. We've got Ogren Camo, Dawnstone and Calgar Blue. They're all layer paints, so they're extra paints to add to your thing. I can see the Ogren Camo being used as a very pussy yellow on the Nurgle stuff. The Dawnstone is a grey. It's a nice stony grey. It would be great for bases, great for a lot of bits and pieces. And the Calgar Blue is going to be a fantastic highlight to add to your Ultramarines. In the magazine itself, you've got highlighting with new layer paints, exactly what I just said. Land Raiders, which are big, massive vehicles. We're not getting one in this because we're building a Primaris army and they use the Repulsor instead. But the Land Raiders are still a very cool vehicle and it's worth learning about them. And the Black Crusaders, who are one of the more infamous or famous chapters of the Space Marines. They're an offshoot of the Imperial Fists. They're basically a continuously, endlessly crusading army of psychopaths, which is cool. And after that, more cultists. I know we've got cultists already, but frankly, you can't have enough cultists. They are the swarm component of the Death Guard army, really making up for in numbers what the elite Marines lose because of their elite nature. The Cults of Corvon Rise, so you've got some nice stuff coming up there. Add Chaos Cultists to your Death Card. Oh no, we haven't had Cultists yet, have we? What did we have before? We had Plague Walkers, didn't we? These are the first Cultists we've had. Fantastic, these are awesome. Cultists, unlike the Pox Walkers, are faster and better equipped. They're really cheap. They're very much the chaff of the Death Guard army. They're really good. Obviously, in 2 weeks' time when I get those, I'll be giving them away. They come in packs of 5, so if you're playing Death Guard, 5 extra cultists are always going to be helpful. If you're collecting this, 5 extra cultists are going to be helpful. So tune in 2 weeks. They're basically lightly armoured, weak guys, but like I say, what they lack compared to the elite nature of the Death Guard, they more than make up for in the fact that you can get a ton of them. You can use them as a screen to just absorb bullet after bullet after bullet, and then your Death Guard move in with their slow and steady deathiness afterwards. Sorry, for a second I'm thinking, oh, we've had cultists, but we haven't had cultists. We've had Poxwalkers, which are kind of like cultists, but for Nurgle. These guys are cool. Also, if you're not collecting a Death Guard army, or you want something to run alongside, the advantage of the cultists is they're non-patron specific, they're non-deity specific. You can paint them out to be Khorne cultists, Nurgle cultists, Tzeentch cultists, Slaanesh cultists. If you want, invent your own little Chaos God. There are thousands of them. Not as big as the big four, but. And then in the magazine, we've got Death Card Chaos Cultists, which we've got, History of Demonic Incursions, and the Dark Angels Successor chapters. So we'll be going through all the Dark Angels Successor chapters and how they're all secretly heretics. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Sorry if I'm a little tired, and I will see you in 2 weeks' time. You may remember there was a competition to win the Land Speeder, which I said was going to be on my Facebook page. I will be announcing the winner of that competition on my Facebook page. The competition was like and share the Facebook page. These guys are almost certainly going to go up on my, I'm going to say Instagram. These are going to go up on my Instagram page just to try and get more people following me on Instagram, because I am an attention-seeking slut. And there's nothing wrong with that. I will see you guys next week, and have fun. Oh, and if anybody's going to Thrudball, because you're a Blood Bowl player, I'll see you at Thrudball. Hi guys, hope you enjoyed that video, and if you did, remember to like and subscribe to my channel. I'm also on Facebook and Twitter. Not sure why, but I am. So if you like it, see me there, and please tell your friends. Thanks very much. Bye.